Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name's Rob, and I am obsessed with Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch's open-world samurai epic arrives on PS4 on the 17th of July, and I've been lucky enough to play the heck out of it over the last 2 weeks. There's lots to talk about, but before we dive in, rest assured this video will be entirely free of story spoilers. Everything you're about to see has been captured by me on a PS4 Pro during the first act of the game. So there will be no late game content, and neither are we showing any cutscenes or gameplay from story missions. This will be pure open world exploration and, hopefully, razor sharp combat demonstrated by yours truly. Let's get into it then. Here are 7 reasons Ghost of Tsushima is the samurai game you've been waiting for. Number 1. It allows you to live the fantasy of being a samurai, and you really should go for it. Commit to a certain way of playing. Anything else would, quite frankly, feel like a disservice to the care and exquisite craft that's so evidently gone into realising the unique and beautiful open world of Tsushima. This place looks and feels different to any other we've explored on PS4. There's an ancient stillness to the forests, the grasslands, and the mountains of Tsushima that make it feel as though you're walking through a myth, despite the fact the game is set in a real time and place. As you watch main character Jin Sakai respect and uphold the code of his order, how he honours the shrines and other places of contemplative quiet, you feel as though to rampage through this world in that typically voracious, give me everything now, video gamey kind of way just wouldn't feel right. I rarely galloped while playing Ghost of Tsushima, despite the fact you can, of course. Instead, I absorbed the place, moved through it slowly, enjoyed the sights and sounds of the world, the bloom of sunrise spilling through foliage, the falling leaves, the sound of trees shifting as they accommodate the often agitative wind, the melodic bird song. Be the wandering samurai. This is a game that allows you to live out that fantasy, so play up to it. My absolute favourite thing to do is to walk slowly on foot while playing Jin's reed flute, which you can do at any point by brushing left on the touchpad. That in itself is fantastic, I think. So committed are Sucker Punch to a world of stillness and silence. They don't even want it interrupted by the press of a controller button. So yes, you're wandering aimlessly, taking in the sights, complementing nature's music with your own, and you encounter a roving band of Mongols, the invaders. They sidle up to you, fat with steel and bravado. This is the part where, if this was a samurai movie, you'd be getting that scene where you find out just how good the hero is. You know what's coming. In fact, the only people who don't know how badly the Mongols are about to get sliced are the Mongols themselves. And then welcome to combat in Ghost of Tsushima. No frills, no backflips and juggle combos, just sharp, efficient execution of practiced moves. I love the way Jin just hangs there after the last of them has fallen too, as if he's waiting for them to catch up to the fact they've just had their souls surgically removed. Then, with a right swipe of the touchpad, you sheathe your katana. Out comes your reed flute, and on you go, as if nothing had even happened. Alternatively, you could swipe down on the touchpad and bow to your defeated foes, a slight incline of the head that somehow feels even more satisfying than a vigorous round of teabagging. There are story missions full of tension and excitement, and epic set pieces, and a revenge story full of twists and betrayals and all that good stuff. But in between all that, moment to moment, this is what it can be like playing Ghost of Tsushima. It takes time to get good at the combat, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But once you feel comfortable with Jin's skill set, it's hard to describe how awesome it feels just walking the land, delivering justice to those who deserve it. It's wish fulfillment at its finest, the samurai game we've all been waiting for. Our second reason is exactly the kind of flashy ostentatiousness I am here for. You get to compose haikus. Essentially a device for Sucker Punch to show off the beauty of what they've made, and why not? Composing a haiku can happen in various places throughout the world and involves Jin surrounding himself by and meditating on nature, and nature's relationship to his family maybe, or honor, or the code of the samurai. In gameplay terms, you'll be given a unique cinematic view of wherever you're sitting and asked to choose 3 lines from a pre-written selection of poetry, ending in you composing your own haiku, which Jin will then recite.
Whispers drawing near. Shifting shadows beckon forth. Guided by night's glow.
You'll also unlock a unique headband inscribed with your haiku. This golden one is my favourite, which means you can, at any point, look back upon your very own literature from the equipment menu. This is what I love though. Someone's made the most beautiful leaves I've ever seen in a game there. It's only right we enjoy them properly. And these soothing sights and sounds genuinely do help calm the mind, which is essential for getting combat right, just like a real samurai. The third reason Ghost of Tsushima is the samurai game you've been waiting for is that it's done away with traditional signposting and instead guides you naturally and organically with nature, wind, birds and foxes. Let's talk about the birds first. Beautiful golden side quest birds, to give them their full unscientific name, will announce themselves with a sharp, clear warble you'll soon learn to take immediate notice of. This is why it helps to not be galloping around all over the place. You need to pay attention to your surroundings in this world. Nothing gets marked on your map until you've either discovered it yourself or heard about it from an NPC, which makes these birds very important. Sometimes they'll lead you to a hot spring, a place where Jin can heal his body and mind, gain additional health, and reflect on a story element or a character of your choosing. Alternatively, they could lead you to a side quest or a hidden item. The bottom line is, if you hear and then see a golden bird, stop what you're doing and follow it. Foxes are more specific. They'll also announce themselves with a cry, so make sure you're listening. Catching that dart of crimson among the trees isn't always easy, and you're far more likely to hear a fox before you see it. Follow them and they will lead you to Inari shrines. Honour these with a tap of R2 and you'll unlock more charm slots for your equipment. Charms give you beneficial effects like increasing your damage or allowing Jin to heal himself more effectively. Besides being properly cute, the fact these signposts are woven organically into the world of the game adds to the already impressive sense of immersion. Even if you select something on your map, like a village or a Mongol-occupied outpost or a shrine, you won't see a waypoint in-game until you're practically on top of it. To get there, you need to follow the wind, so you literally have to pay attention to the direction in which the leaves are blowing, or whatever gorgeous particle effects happen to be hanging in the air wherever you are. Swipe up on the touchpad and you can summon a stronger gust of wind to help. Ghost of Tsushima is a game that unashamedly wants to be gawped at. It won't tolerate you sneaking a glance at a mini-map, there isn't one, or checking a health bar, this only appears during combat by default. It wants you to look at the trees, at the swaying grass, at the sky, at the water. I mean, you don't need to ask me twice there. This is a game that's confident in its ability to visually wow the player, and it does all the time, flooding Tsushima's landscape with the kind of lighting that consistently shows it at its breathtaking best. The fourth reason is how freely you can mix up your fighting style. Ghost of Tsushima allows you a pleasing amount of flexibility when it comes to tackling combat scenarios. You know, this isn't as black and white as choosing between honourable combat and not so honourable combat. You can very much have your stealth cake and then, well, not so much eat it as slice it into bits with a katana. Occasionally, you'll need to win a big set-piece fight or navigate an area stealthily for story reasons, but for the majority of the game you can tackle Mongol territory however you like. Head down the honourable path, that is, brandishing your katana in plain view of enemy soldiers like you're the second coming of Zatoichi, and you'll often find yourself outnumbered 4 or 5 to 1, which is where stances come in. There are 4 in total, unlocked as you take down enemy leaders, and each gives you an advantage over a certain enemy type. The stone stance is effective against fellow sword wielders. Water opens up shielded enemies. Wind will chop down spearmen. And Moon will cut brutes down to size in no time. You can change stances on the fly with a combination of R2 and the face buttons, and once you've got the hang of it, shifting through Jin's gears as he glides through a thicket of startled Mongols feels just wonderful. If you're faced with a large encampment, however, often consisting of dozens of invaders, my favourite method is always to sneak in, and Jin has loads of options when it comes to striking from the shadows. You can hide under floors, on rooftops, in long grass, and then mercilessly assassinate anyone you've successfully snuck up on. A swift, silent arrow to the face will also do the trick. If you do get spotted, however, what Ghost of Tsushima doesn't do is that irritating video game thing where every enemy in the area immediately knows exactly where you are. Instead, finish off the bad guys before they can alert everyone else, and you can quickly re-engage stealth without the rest of the camp knowing where you are. This feels refreshingly liberating. I found myself acting more decisively than I would in other games, picking through areas with assurance, knowing I had my katana as backup. It doesn't make the combat easy, mess up your timing and a single grunt can floor you in no time, but it does mean you won't spend hours cowering in the grass trying to work out everyone's patrol route. You're empowered without ever feeling invincible. A gameplay tightrope Sucker Punch has navigated to perfection, and nothing epitomises this electric balancing act quite like standoffs. Approach a group of Mongols or bandits, and you'll have the option to trigger one of these tense cinematic games of samurai chicken with a simple tap of up on the D-pad. Jin strides out, calling the challenge.
Come here and fight!
The game framing each encounter with a cinematic flair that not only looks fantastic, you'll be treated to a glorious backdrop every time, almost by accident. It draws your focus to your adversary in a way that demands 100% concentration. The control scheme is dead simple. Hold triangle, release it when your opponent moves. But this moment can hang. The tension is thick. Time it right and you'll cut down your enemy in an instant, chaining up to 3 once you've maxed out the skill, giving you a huge numbers advantage in the ensuing battle, and crucially filling Jin's resolve. That's those yellow discs underneath your health bar used for either healing or activating special moves. Go too soon or not soon enough, however, and you'll be left on the brink of death. And only the calmest of warriors recover from this kind of position. Like me, here, although I think this is literally the only instance in my entire playthrough where I haven't died after failing a standoff. This razor-sharp seesaw of risk-reward is how Ghost of Tsushima's combat always feels. You can be as skillful as you like, but you're always just one misstep away from being in danger. A botched parry, an overzealous attack, not paying attention to enemy archers. This is a game where you can eviscerate a heavily armoured Mongol leader. That slow-mo finisher never gets old, just as quickly as you can be killed by a bog-standard bandit with a simple sword. You know, which is why you should mix up the honourable stuff with leaping off rooftops and knifing people in the back. The most important thing is that you survive, and Ghost of Tsushima gives you the flexibility to go about that however you like. Reason number 5, there is an incredible photo mode, which in Ghost of Tsushima is not so much about taking pretty screenshots as it is composing your own work of art. Regular viewers of the channel will know I love a good photo mode, but this one is something else. I mean, it helps that you've got one of the most photogenic games ever made at which to point your virtual lens, but the additional options are just wonderful. Wind not blowing Jin's cape quite how you want, Just change the direction and the speed. Put the sun where you want it, clear the clouds or add more. Make Jin happy, make Jin sad. Make Jin surprised about the fact he's surrounded by animated particle effects you can change on a whim. Not happy with the red leaves? Make them yellow or make them fireflies. Stop them animating if you like. You can also add music to score your own mini movie clips, plotting different camera positions like keyframes on a timeline before letting the game cleverly automate an animation between them. I'm still a bit clumsy with this tool, I just like taking deep focus pictures of Jin looking out over crystal clear water. But I imagine when these tools get into the hands of the wider PS4 community, our social media feeds will be bursting with miniature samurai movies. Send them to me, I want to see them all. Then, reason number 6, Kurosawa mode. This is a preset you can choose when starting a new game or at any point from the display settings that presents the game in black and white, adds film grain and makes the sound authentically old school, and then combines this with Japanese audio dialogue and English subtitles. In essence, this lets you play Ghost of Tsushima as if you're playing through one of the iconic samurai movies that have so obviously influenced the game's tone and aesthetic. During standoffs, this just looks ridiculously cool. The crackling silence as the entire world seems to hold its breath. Before crack, the action splits the air like a peal of thunder as the duel unravels. Depending on how much time you have to invest, you should either try Kurosawa mode out for a bit, just for the cinematic thrill, or if you really want to commit, why not go for an entire second playthrough like this? Ghost of Tsushima is a stylized evocation of 13th century feudal Japan. It's history by way of cinema, and playing the game in Kurosawa mode feels like that expression fully saturated. Give it a go. The final reason this is the samurai game you've been waiting for is simply that Tsushima is such a breathtaking place to explore. This world is massive. Get lost in it. There's so much we haven't even touched upon in this video. Secret shrines hidden away at the summit of huge mountains, the views at the top worth the climb alone, not to mention the golden charms you'll earn for your equipment. You'll encounter people that need help, their stories adding depth to an already vibrant world, and more often than not blood to your already saturated blade. Bamboo strikes, we've not even mentioned these, a challenging minigame that requires you deftly input a sequence of prompts in order to cut through 7 stalks of bamboo, and one that rewards you with increased resolve. Take it all in, travel through it slowly, honour this beautiful world Sucker Punch has created, and show no mercy to the Mongols who've invaded it. Yes, even when they're crawling helplessly along the floor. Ghost of Tsushima is the open-world samurai game we've been waiting for. It arrives on PS4 on the 17th of July, and we can't wait to hear what you make of it. So give this video a like if you enjoyed it, let us know in the comments if you're going to play honourably or not so honourably, and click that notification bell to make sure you're always up to date with everything from the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching, we'll see you again soon.
PlayStation